Why is old Call of Duty better than modern Call of Duty? It's a question that's been at the back of my mind for the last couple of years, and I mainly answer the question with the simple statement of, it's nostalgia. I don't think that's all there is to it. With the old Call of Duty games having a resurgence in popularity due to Activision's decision to roll out an update to fix old Call of Duty matchmaking systems, it's reminded me of the burning question: why is old Call of Duty better than new Call of Duty? Now, like we said in the introduction to this video, nostalgia is going to be a massive player in the equation to working out the answer to our question. If you were born anywhere between 1990 and 2000, you're gonna know exactly what I mean. Looking back at the good old days of Call of Duty for those in this age bracket directly coincides with looking back at the good old days of our childhoods. Spending time with friends, going to school, the early days of the internet, hot summers and snowy winters. So when I look back and think of Modern Warfare 2, the original one, not only do I see a profound love for that particular game, I also see myself at 14 years old, no responsibilities, spending the summer holidays with my friends all day and then going home to play Modern Warfare 2 with them at night. That sure sounds better than paying a mortgage and getting up at 6 AM to work every morning. So without a doubt, nostalgia is definitely a massive factor. But then I started to think about the other games that I've played for most of my child and my adult life. A good example is World of Warcraft. I'm still having just as much fun on World of Warcraft as I did when I was a kid. So why am I not enjoying Call of Duty as much? Why is Call of Duty different? And in an attempt to answer my own question, I managed to break the answer down to 6 different factors. Factor 1, originality. Over the last couple of years, Call of Duty installments have started to blend into each other, with the best example of this being the rebooted Modern Warfare series. From 2019 up to present day, in 4 years we have seen 3 installments of this new Modern Warfare series, and I understand the trilogy's been done before, but in my opinion, the old games stood out from each other in comparison to the new games. The original Modern Warfare 1, 2 and 3 were part of the same trilogy, but they were totally different games with different artistic styles, gameplay mechanics, map designs, along with other things. You could tell the difference between the games. Whereas these days, the games are more or less the same thing. They're just expanded upon each year. Modern Warfare 1 and Modern Warfare 2, the new ones, are extremely similar, to the point where Modern Warfare 2 feels like a large DLC from the original game. And with Modern Warfare 3 now being confirmed, it's almost guaranteed that this new Modern Warfare 3 will certainly just be a paid expansion on top of this year's Modern Warfare 2. They feel too samey and stale, and it's no wonder we start to favour the older games. Factor 2. Matchmaking. Now you probably guessed it, you knew this one was coming, but it wouldn't be a comparison video without mentioning this topic. And good news guys, I'll try not to spend too much time on it, but the Call of Duty games of today are riddled and even straight up ruined by this well-known term, skill-based matchmaking. Now, skill-based matchmaking has been around for quite some time, we know that, and it was even in the older Call of Duty games, but the technology behind it was much weaker, and now in present day the theory's caught up to the technology and it's basically mutated into the freakish monster that we all know and hate today. The days of chilling out in public matches with your friends, or the ability to grind out challenges without going completely insane, are gone. Everyone and their dog is running a meta weapon, learning head glitches from professional players, and spending $300 on a modified controller so they can have a better chance at beating you in a one-on-one situation. Call of Duty was never like this in the good old days. You didn't need to play like we play today. It just wasn't sweaty enough. You didn't need to sweat it out constantly just to have a slither of fun. The lobbies were easier, they were based off connection, and no one really cared that much. The introduction of harsh, skill-based matchmaking has caused public Call of Duty games to be just as difficult as ranked matches on times, and it kind of forces the game to become stale, tiring, and just downright boring. They put massive emphasis on camo challenges and then also put you in a lobby with 11 other people in the same skill bracket. So when you come to level up your revolver pistol, you get ran over by kids running the very best optimized weapon that's been finely tuned. It makes no sense. But with skill-based matchmaking being implemented at a fraction of what we see today in the old games, we start to see why the older games are, in general, just more enjoyable. The gameplay you see up on screen right now, guys, is a tactical nuke gameplay that I got last week. I got this in the first hour of playing the old Modern Warfare 2, but yet I've never reached the 25 kill streak in the new Modern Warfare 2 because it's too difficult due to the skill-based matchmaking. They tried to protect new players from being pub stomped with skill-based matchmaking, and it has worked, but as a byproduct, if you're half decent at the game, you just get put with other people who are half decent at the game, and it makes it severely unenjoyable for the vast majority of Call of Duty fans. Factor number 3, content and progression. Our third reason to why the old Call of Duty games are better than the new ones is the content. The minimum content that these Call of Duty games are launching with has significantly dropped off over the years, and you can feel that effect in the game. The old Modern Warfare 2 launched with 16 multiplayer maps and had a further 10 added into it. Out of those 26 maps, only 4 of them were Call of Duty 4 remakes. The new Modern Warfare 2 launched with only 10 multiplayer maps. And yes, to kind of back it, a further 11 have now been released under a time-gated release schedule, and 4 of them are also remakes, so 21 in total, 4 of which are not original. And yes, you could argue that once all the seasons are said and done, the new Modern Warfare 2 might have the same amount of maps, if not more, than the old Modern Warfare 2. The biggest difference here might not be the total number of maps at the end of the day, but it's the total number of maps on launch. And I mean, come on guys, what happens to the general player base in the first couple of weeks of the launch before those maps start to get launched into the game on a time-gated schedule? They go. They leave. It feels like hardly anyone is playing COD right now, and the reason for that is that they're bored. And the maps aren't the only indicator of a lack of content. For the first couple of months, bearing in mind a Call of Duty's life cycle is around about 12 months, for the first 3 to 4 months of Modern Warfare 2, it had no challenges apart from camos, and a lot of those camo challenges didn't work. There was nothing to do in the game if you didn't want to grind camos. You might as well have just carried on playing Warzone 1. What is there to do in current COD games if you think about it? There's no challenges, there's no completion or 100% of challenges, there's barely a combat record, there's no theatre, there's no level progression system, there's no prestige mode, there's literally no incentive to play the game. Yes, you could argue that the new seasonal battle pass system is something, but what if you don't buy it? Simply put, the old games just did it better. They had effective prestige modes, complex and detailed challenge systems, party game modes, and intertwined zombie storyline. The older games just had stacks of content to get through in comparison to the new games. Next up, for our fourth factor as to why the older games are still better than the new ones, we have Warzone. Now, it's going to be a quick reason, but I'd imagine 99% of Call of Duty players would probably say that Warzone has been a good thing for the Call of Duty franchise, and I 100% agree. But there is a slightly bad side to Warzone, and it's the fact that it's slowly taken away the resources and the spotlight from the multiplayer side of the game. And this was very evident in the Call of Duty Vanguard era. Once Caldera was launched, Vanguard basically became a gateway for leveling up meta weapons before going into Warzone. It had a terrible campaign, a lackluster multiplayer which was riddled with issues for the majority of its life cycle, and I think for that reason we can safely say it was one of the worst selling Call of Duty games to date. And it's probably because all of the resources were just being slammed into Warzone. Whereas you compare it to the older Call of Duty games, they didn't need to compete with the giant that is Warzone. The older games were split into usually 3 sections: the multiplayer, the campaign, and then either the zombies or the spec ops. Whereas the Modern Warfare 2 we have today, we have the campaign, we have Warzone, we have raids, we have the multiplayer, we have DMZ. They've almost become a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Penultimate reason is going to be the gross microtransaction system introduced into recent Call of Duty games. For the last 5 years, they have focused on draining money from the player base. Loot boxes, $20 operator skins, pay to win DMZ bundles, the recently introduced $30 Black Cell Battle Pass. We pay for the original service, the $70 one-off payment for the game, and then we get this DLC add-on rubbish forced upon us every year. I did a video 2 weeks ago about the state of Season 4 Reloaded, and over 50% of that update is paid content, and some of the content is gatekept behind the Battle Pass paywall, which which will deter the average player. I mean, I have no desire to buy the battle pass, which means I can't use the new gun from the season, which means I have even less to do in the new season. I can't even unlock the new gun if I don't buy it. Like, it's not great. The new business model may work better for profits. I can see that. I'm not stupid. They're earning more money than they ever have. But in my opinion, it just doesn't work well for the fan base. I much prefer the old style with the older games of the DLC map packs that we used to get. There might have been 2 or 3 or 2 to 4 per game, and you would get 4 or 5 maps per pack. You would have a zombies map, some camo stuff. It felt much more worth the money. But to me, it just feels like the model is lousy, and it feels like in a time of financial crisis, they're just price gouging everyone. And the final factor, number 6, the old games are better than the new ones because they were simpler. And that's all there is. They were simpler. There's no convoluted gunsmith system with 10 attachments. There's no time-gated perk system. There's no weapon tuning. There's no weird-ass overcomplicated weapon class tree system thing where you have to use the Lachman 556 to unlock the Barbie attachment suppressor for the Lachman 69. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. In my opinion, the peak creator class system was Call of Duty Black Ops 2 when it launched that Pick 10 system. To me, that's hands down the best creator class system Call of Duty has ever had. Everyone knew what it was about. Everyone knew where they stood with it. You could have some decent creativity with it, and you were able to see everything right in front of you. None of this scrolling through some weird ass tree to try and find what weapon you need to use next. And this factor kind of finishes off the video nicely. They were simpler games made in simpler times, and that is why the older Call of Duties are better than the new ones. And if you enjoyed this video, guys, let me know by dropping a like on it down below. Let me know your thoughts on the video in the comments. Do you think the older games are better? Do you think I'm just overhyping on the nostalgia right now? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for staying tuned to the video. As always, feel free to subscribe to the channel for all of the latest Call of Duty news, tips and tricks, rants, class setups, and much more.